I'm Gaylene Xanthopoulos, President and founder of the Leadership Edge. I hope you had the opportunity to join part one of my conversation with Julianne Smith, the President and CEO of Escape Bio, where we explored the things that can hold women back from advancing in our careers, along with some tips for overcoming them. As you learned in our first conversation, Julie shares our passion at the Leadership Edge to do everything we can to support women in succeeding and advancing in their roles in the life sciences. In part two of our conversation, Julie and I will talk about the critical mindset you need to have to achieve your next level of success. Welcome to our conversation.
Do you see some other challenges for women or people who are other in the life sciences specifically, some of what you might have seen over the years?
Yeah, for sure. And I think they may stem also from unconscious bias, and that's the same societal imprinting where, I always chuckle because there's this phenotype of hire that I've made a number of times over my career. It's a young guy just graduated from business school or a graduate program, and come in full, brimming with confidence and just absolutely sure they're going to crush it. And they're going to be running the lab or the company in approximately 5 to 7 years. They don't want to seem like they're overreaching and just completely ambitious and so sure they're going to overperform, and it can even veer over towards entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
You have young female candidates that come and same graduate degree, same business school. They may be equally ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
And they may be confident that they're going to crush the current position, but they don't have that overconfidence and and certainly not the entitlement about, oh, and I'm going to be running this place in 5 to 7 years. And so, I think there's a piece of it which we as women, as we grew up, we internalized to some extent. And of course, there's just far fewer examples of female leaders in whichever industry, and in particular in the life sciences.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's harder for them. It's kind of a lack of imagination in some ways, because young women starting their career may just not imagine themselves in that role. And because they don't have a lot of female mentors in those leadership roles,
Right.
That's where the disconnect comes from.
Yeah.
I also think that there is something that young women as they're advancing their careers, can often feel like they don't belong. They don't belong as a manager. They don't belong at the boardroom table. They don't belong in the executive committee.
Right.
And I think that we have to get over that,
Mm-hmm.
because in fact, we belong just as much as anyone belongs.
Right.
And that I think that's a barrier where I see women impose on themselves more often
Mm-hmm.
than I see other people doing to themselves. And in my current role, I have just a number of outstanding women, scientists, and two in particular who over the last year and a half, I've really had to, I've wanted to develop them. I've seen their potential,
Mm-hmm.
and I've wanted to give them additional opportunity for leadership. And, it wasn't kicking and screaming, but it was, a longer process that I would have liked to, gee, have you ever thought about managing someone?
Right.
You might be really good at it. You're really excellent at what you do. You're great with people. You're a great team player. Would you ever think about that? That was in the case of one, and it took about 6 months to get her comfortable. And now, of course, she's crushing it.
Right.
And so, again, I think that I encourage women who want to advance their careers to really reach beyond and always proactively reach for that next learning opportunity, the next leadership opportunity. It may not come natural, and it may not feel, you may not feel ready for it, but there's only one way to find out.
Right. So really be willing to go through some of that discomfort and kind of make it to a certain extent of putting that confidence forward and saying, I do belong here. Yes, I have things to learn, but so does everybody else in this room. So that's where I think sometimes women feel very alone, and yet one of the benefits of coaching so many male leaders is I do get to see their vulnerabilities. So where very often they're not putting that out in a boardroom or in an executive team meeting. I've had them look at me and say, I am in way over my head. But that's like, this is our secret, right? So don't tell anybody. But it's rare. And research does show, when we were doing research for our Leadership Edge program for women, research does show that women, well, let's just say men tend to overstate their capabilities and competencies. Women tend to understate those. So as you pointed out, if you're in an interview process, that does not serve you well, because you've got somebody over here saying, oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, I can handle that. Yeah, I'll take that on. Yep. And the woman saying, well, I've never done that before, but I'm sure with some coaching and mentoring, I could grow into that role. And it's like, be bold, right? So come in and be bold. You're smart, you're capable, you can make this happen. And so to have that confidence and the confidence that you do belong, I think that's a really wonderful and important message too. Very important.
Yeah.